Ready to roll? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Life Hack Podcast. My friend Tu is joining us today. Thank you so much, Tu. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, looking great as always, friend. So I guess just to kind of get things going with you, I've seen you've been active lately. What all have you been up to recently?
Well, the last 60, 75 days has been planning on marketing, getting the market going, getting people interested in buying again.
Okay.
Because as you know, I do mortgages. So I work a lot with real estate agents. If you see me out and about, stop by and say hi. And of course, say I'll introduce you to the agents as well because, they all love to be on air.
Yes. And so with you being active with the market, right? What is your opinion on buying at the moment? Because I hear kind of like a debate every time. Right now is not a good time to buy, or it is a good time to buy. What's your opinion as far as May goes with the market?
In my opinion, I think it's a great time to buy because here's positive and negative, right? There's always a pro and con to everything. If you buy now, prices are prices.
Yeah.
So basically means you get to negotiate with the sellers more. But the prices most people are willing to negotiate at this point in time. Yes, interest rates are high, but guess what? Rates are rates. But the great thing about buying now is that you have the opportunity to buy the house at a higher rate and have options when rates do drop to refinance. If you wait till rates drop, guess what happened to house prices? They go up.
Yeah,
they go up. So if you buy now at a lower price with a higher rate, and then when rates drop, you can refinance versus waiting because now you get a lower rate, but then you're buying a house that's probably $30,000 to $40,000 higher than what it would have been.
What's the deal with refinancing? Because I know people get scared of it. They think that they cannot refinance as they go down the line. So what are the guidelines to be able to refinance? Like, do you have to meet a criteria to be able to do that?
Yes, like all loan programs, depending on what loan programs they're on, there are certain guidelines you go by. But let's not go into that because there's something else coming up later in June that I would love for you to attend and bring some of your friends. But the important thing is talk to a loan expert like myself. Let me rewind because I forgot to say who I work with and where I'm at. So it's Thu Phi with GFS Home Loans.
Awesome. And June, I know that you're having your event, correct?
Correct.
What is that all about?
So June 8th is on a Saturday from 9:30 to 11:30. It's going to be at 1220 Augusta Suite 300. It is a home buying, get to know your mortgage terminology and mortgage programs before you buy. So it's kind of like a prep class for you.
And who's all going to be involved with that?
So real estate agents are welcome to attend and bring your clients. If you know your friends, because I know you guys are at that age right now, you guys are all renting. Let me help y'all become homeowners. Why rent when you can be a homeowner?
And that's true. I think that's the biggest thing for me, understanding that at a younger age, you should be starting to try to get your hands inside the market to buy and not continue to rent. Because from experience and just from opinions, from what I hear from other people that are already kind of like in their 30s that have not bought yet, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Some of them just throw in a word or two about them wishing they can go back in time and invest a lot earlier. What's your thought on that and why it's important to invest as you're younger, at a younger self?
Well, in my opinion, a lot of people just did not get the opportunity to become homeowners early in life, right? Because most people don't know, or maybe it's their circumstances.
Correct.
Life happens. Everybody has different situations that they're in. Some people may not understand the process of purchasing, and they're scared because no one has taken the time to show them. That's why it's important to work with a good real estate agent and a mortgage lender. So in your situation, knowing that your family are investors, that's huge because now you understand the background to it.
Correct.
So you starting early, I'm excited. You're going to be a homeowner soon.
I'm excited. Yeah. So what I always like to put out is my goal with it, right? Because my first initial purchase was about a year ago. So what I would like to do is buy this year again and then the next year all the way up till I'm 30 and have those as long-term investments. And I know everyone has a different route with what they want to do with real estate. That's kind of what I want to do. But I do preach it to people. Go out, ask questions. Frances is a great realtor in my opinion. She works 24/7. And then obviously with Tu, you're in great hands. So I always suggest it to people is like go to these networking events. Tu has hers coming up in June. We'll make sure to drop her Instagram here so that you can follow her and keep up with it. But I think that's what got me out of my comfort zone, was going to those events, because after attending these events, I started to understand how loans work and how it's possible to, become a homeowner. Because last year I think it was around this time, is when we were in the process of closing out property up north. And so attending the event that I attended, it really opened up my eyes to understand that it is possible. And so I do preach it to people. Go out to those events, get as much information as possible. Digging into the loans now, what would you recommend, or what could you preach to the people about the different kinds of loans, and how some of those can apply to a different crowd?
Well, there's a lot of loan programs out there. You have to find a loan program that's particular, that fits your situation. Not one particular loan program will fit everybody, right? It depends on credit score, depending on how much down payment you're willing to put down. It depends on what are you looking at spending a month for a mortgage payment. So it's definitely not something that someone can just jump in and purchase right away, especially at a younger age. But it's definitely a great time to get the education, because once you get the education, then you have enough knowledge to be able to make the right decisions. And how do you get the education? By attending one of the seminars.
Yeah, correct. What is the debt to income ratio, and what's the standard guideline for that? Because I remember you talking about that at your last seminar. So for the people to hear it out, kind of what is that ratio? What does it look like?
Wow, you're going to have me talking here for hours. We're going to go into terminology. Let's save that for the seminar, because that gets really, really technical.
Okay.
But definitely, I'm happy to hear that you're looking at starting your portfolio, which is extremely important at a young age. The younger you start your portfolio, the better it is, because what you're doing is setting yourself up for retirement.
Correct.
For early retirement.
That's
right?
exactly what I want. I want to be able to enjoy my time once I get past that. All the purchasing, everything's paid off. That's kind of the point where I want to get to, but I know the work is going to have to take place now. But going off of that into your personal life, when did you begin to start, digging into the market? Were you always in this market space, or did you start off somewhere else and then transition over into the lending?
Now you're dating me. Now I feel old. I actually started in the 90s. I started when I was in college, just by pure accident, and then I just never left.
Why do you say accident?
Because I was a weekend hostess at a builder's office, and this guy came in and told me he had a new office open, was looking for some admin help, and I started working there part-time. And then next thing you knew, I never left the industry.
Why do you think you stayed in the industry?
Why did I stay? Because it was something new. It was something I was learning that I didn't know anything about. So learning is always a great process, right? Because once you stop learning, you're pretty much telling everybody your life is over. Right?
That's
Life
true.
is all about learning. So I was learning new things. I was growing. I was with him for 15 years. And after 15 years, I felt like I was stagnant.
Yep.
So it's time to me to move on. I went somewhere else to grow.
Correct.
And that's how it kind of grew.
Okay.
And that's kind of staying it. But of course, started as a mail clerk, push the little cart around, handing people mail, putting in the little mail slots. I'm pretty sure y'all don't know what that means nowadays, because you guys don't receive physical mail anymore.
I'll get on YouTube and I'll research it.
Yeah, but definitely that's how I started. Started on the operations side and just kind of move on into production, and haven't left since then.
Sweet. And who were some of the biggest mentors for you while you were there, and just how did that impact your ability to continue staying there? Because I know if you stay at a place for too long, like you said, it gets stagnant. Mm-hmm. But I do see a lot of people switching roles too often now, where it's like they're in an industry, then they leave it, and it's just they're not stagnant anywhere. Why do you think you were able to stay there for quite a bit? And how did those people influence you?
Well, history and time will always define itself, right? Back in the old days, most people end up staying at their jobs for longer because there was security. It's like a security blanket.
Correct.
But nowadays, with the way the economy is changing, society's changing, everything is evolving so quickly. So most people only stay in their job probably on average about 5 to 7 years. But you rewind it back to the 80s, the 90s, your parents, they've been at their job. They didn't want to leave. Because, then they got pension built up, they have retirement built up.
That security blanket.
Yes, but nowadays with everything changing with technology, you can do so much on your phone nowadays that you can't do back then, because we actually have to fax something from a fax machine. Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
So those are the little things that has changed, and therefore most people don't stay on their jobs that long.
Got it.
So yeah, so I just kind of just change with the times.
That makes
So,
sense. That makes sense. Now, where you're at now, I see all over social media, and I've seen it firsthand. I think what you do best, above most lenders, in my opinion, is just your A1 customer service, and you do an excellent job at it. How have you been able to understand really and truly how customer service works, and why do you think you do a really good job at it?
the most important thing about customer service is listening. If you listen to what your customers' needs are, you'll be able to handle it. Because most time people don't listen, they're too busy trying to talk over their customer. But if you listen to what they're asking for and what their needs are, then you'll be able to provide the service.
Is this something you've already known for a while, or was there one day where something sparked and you're like, I'm talking too much, or were you always a great listener from the beginning?
Well, my previous company, they had a customer service ranking.
Okay.
So when I started noticing the ranking, because I didn't even pay attention, right? And I was in the top 10. I'm like, well, that's not acceptable. What is it going to take me to become number one? So that's what I did. So I became number one for a few years in a row. So.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And would you say that you're you have a competitive spirit in you?
I do. I compete with myself a lot.
That's great. That's great, because I think it gets misconstrued where people want to compete against other people, and it often fails because you're so caught up trying to be better than that person, and you forget about yourself. So I think that's a great piece of advice that people watching can get out of this is, don't compete against others, compete against yourself. You always want to be the better version of yourself, because we often shift away. We start to look at what other people have, what they're doing, and then we forget about our own, true self and where we want to be at. Because I spoke about it last time. It's everyone has their own time for everything, and their time's gonna come. And the more you worry about yourself, the better off you are, rather than comparing to someone else. Switching things up a little bit. Your client outings, your client events. How important is that to you?
Client outings and events and socials are extremely important because that is the one time that my clients can see me outside of work mode. Right? When you see me in the office, I'm always focused on getting loans, talking to buyers, talking to agents. But when you get me outside, let's sit down, let's just laugh a little bit, let's enjoy our time together. Let me find out what's important to you besides getting the next deal.
Correct.
So that's where I get to find out how people's needs are.
Yeah.
But most of the time, we're too busy working that we forget to take that time out. So when we do, it's awesome.
And I think that's for anyone that's in sales or anyone that's in the business industry of dealing with client relations. I think it's important to make sure that when you're out with your clients, you forget about work, right? It should be a personal kind of relationship there. You're worried about them and only them. Because if you're out at a client event and you're just talking about work, they're going to get bored of it. It's like, this person just wants money out of me. And then, you start to lose people. Eric and I talk about it all the time. You want to make sure that you take it to a personal level and make sure that that person really likes you and truly likes you. Because when it comes down to it, everyone's going to have options all the time. So, do I want to go with 2? Do I want to go with X, Y, and Z? And, okay, I'm going to go with 2 because she actually cares for me and she remembers things going on in my personal life that the other people don't care to know about me. And so with that, with being in the industry, what drives you day by day? How do you approach your day? Because you have such a high spirit. You're always smiling. You're always happy. And that's difficult to do because when people get into a bad mood, you can see it right off the bat. And I think from every time I've seen you, you're always upright, smiling. So what goes through your day-to-day mentality?
Do you really want to know?
I really want to know. I'm asking.
No, honestly,
we need the secret formula.
I'm up early because I believe in the early bird gets the worm. I believe in clearing your mind before you step into the office is important. I believe in leaving anything personal at the door inside your house. So once you walk out, it stays in the house. So for me, waking up at 4:30, getting a workout in, clearing my mind, just breathing. And I do send out emails and text messages early. I think you've got a few of those. But
yeah, I have.
But if you text me late, I don't respond. then I'm probably going to respond real early in the morning. So I'm a morning person. I do everything early, get everything done. So by the time I'm working out and clearing my mind, I know that it's not cluttered. Then I'm solving problems. Then I'm coming up with new marketing ideas. Then I'm coming up with new things to do that keep people intrigued. And, okay, what can I do next for my clients that someone hasn't done before?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I know you say you get up early and, you have a pretty long day. Why have you been able to do that for so much time and, like, so consistent?
Because once I fall asleep, I'm knocked out. No, I just kind of you just got to, find some time for yourself. Like you said, I do try to take at least like one day off. I do say I work on the weekends. When I do work, now with technology, anybody can reach me. But usually before, back in the old days, I used to have to drive to go see people on the weekends.
Okay.
Now I don't have to do that because now they need me. They just text me.
How important is that day off for you?
It's very important. It's a day I get to spend with my family, and believe it or not, I like sitting at home and doing laundry because it's very peaceful.
Yeah. Do you put music on, or do you just keep it at quiet? And
It depends. Watch movies sometimes,
Okay.
do music, but usually, it's just a good reflection time.
yeah,
Get to sleep in late instead of 4. I wake up at 6:37.
yeah.
And I get to stay up later on Saturday nights.
And speaking on the reflection side of things, do you do that quite often? I would assume you do, right? That you sit back and you look at not only your mistakes, but also the good and how you can continue to improve, like self-improvement. Is that something that you approach?
Yes, all the time. There's been a lot of things that's been going on the last year with work-wise, so it did take me back and made me realize, let's go back to the basics. What did I do to get me to where I was? Right before the economy was great, and then interest rates jumped. Everything almost came to a stop. So what can I do to distinguish myself from everybody else? Go back to the basics. Let's go out there and continue to build relationship. It's just not texting somebody. It's actually calling, hey, let's talk, let's meet up. Those are the kind of things that are important.
And how do you go about with that process? Like, do you write these things down? Do you have a whiteboard that you write down on? Like, or is it just a thought that you put into your head and then you go on and you carry?
I have a to-do list. So I make a to-do list every time before I call it a night or day. I have a to-do list what I need to get done the next day.
It's great to stay organized that way because for myself, I've been having a planner with me every year since 7th grade, and people always make fun of me because I have a planner. Like
An actual planner?
An actual planner. So someone hears, like if I hear something really good or something really important, or I have a to-do that's really important, I'll pull out my planner anywhere and I start writing it down. And then people are like, do you really have a planner? And I'm like, if you don't know, I have a planner I've had a planner every year since the 7th grade, and I have them all in a storage box. So I like to go back and look at kind of the way that my brain used to operate, which is not different from now. It's just I've gained more knowledge every year. So obviously my notes are more detailed now. It's not, hey, you have a history test tomorrow. Now it's like, oh, hey, you have a client outing, and this is a potential way to close out a deal. And so it's kind of cool to look back on it to see the way that I used to write notes all the way in 7th grade to now, being 24 years old, how I do it. But yes, staying organized, writing stuff down, I think it's super important. If I go into a meeting and, we're with the client, I'm writing stuff down because I noticed that sometimes people just try to take mental notes like, oh, I'm good up here, but it's super important to have it on paper because then it makes you want to do that and stay on top of that. Keeping up with the market and how often it's changed for you, what has it been like? Because you said the economy was great at one point, then it kind of fell down, the interest rates went up. How have you been able to keep up and deal with all that?
Well, when interest rates started increasing, they went up. That's the time when you really need to go back and start establishing strong relationships with people. So all my referral sources, regardless, you'll be surprised, a lot of my referral sources are not even in the industry. So that's a great time to go back and make sure you spend time with people and make sure you know that you want to be on their top of mind, right? So when they hear, oh, I'm buying a house, oh, have you gotten a lender yet? Here, call Thu Phi, right?
Correct.
So that's the first thing. That's what I want. I want when all of my friends hear, oh, I'm looking at buying a house. Have you gotten pre-approved yet? If you haven't, call Thu.
Yeah.
So that's what I did when the market slowed down. I spent a lot of time on reestablishing relationship, making the relationship stronger.
Correct.
Because one of my marketing ideas that I've always done is I have an A, B, and C group. So the A group will always think about you. Whenever they know exactly what you do for a living, they will always refer you business from the get-go.
Yeah.
The B groups doesn't think about you all the time, but when they do, they're like, oh, darn, I forgot Two does this. The C group are always just watching you. They watch you
Yeah.
and let them watch, right?
Yeah.
That's what they do. So my whole goal is to turn the C group into a B group and the B group to grow my A group.
That's awesome.
So that's how my marketing scheme goes.
That's awesome. It's a domino effect, right?
Yes.
You can get this crowd to go to the B. Now you have them at the A.
Yep.
And now they're clients. So that's awesome. Working at your new lending firm, what is it like with managing things? And I know that you're a people's person. So how do you manage yourself? Not just yourself, but also the team.
We tend to, I'm in the office probably 4 days a week.
Okay.
And I have Henry that comes in Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I also have another person, LOA, Will. He also works remotely. So whenever I'm with somebody in front of me, I tend to either send my emails to them, let them respond. So somebody is always continually reading the emails.
Gotcha.
So that's how we kind of manage it. But when I'm at the office, a lot of people like to come into the office, a lot of agents, clients, etc. My door is always open, and plus it's a glass door, so they see me sitting in there. So I can't hide. I can't hide.
Yeah.
So when they come in, it's great because I always get an opportunity to say I'm hi, because I'm a people's person to a certain degree, right? Because when I know that people are seeing me, I'm always happy.
Yeah.
And then when no one's looking, that's when you sit down, you just kind of breathe.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. You regenerate.
Yep.
With the team that you're with, obviously you deal with it internally, but externally with realtors, how important are those relationships to you, and how do you manage those relationships?
They are extremely important because they're one of my biggest referral stream, right? On my revenues. So I've had agents that I've worked with since, I would say, once I started in production, which is in 2002. And we're friends now. I've seen her get married, have kids, and she's still one of my top referral sources. So
Okay.
I have a lot of long-term referral sources, and I'm always growing them. So I love meeting real estate agents because they are the big people who's going to refer me business.
And that's great to hear, because it shows how well you can keep relationships. If you go all the way back to those years, the way that you've been able to do it, and you still continue to do it, should show anyone that's watching this how good she is with relationships. So she's going to be on your side. And make sure to get with Thu for any of your questions. And speaking on that, just moving forward, kind of what is your approach and in the industry? Do you ever plan to shift, or is this what you see yourself doing for the next years?
Well, at my age, I don't think I should be changing any jobs anytime soon. The only thing I should be doing is looking forward to retirement, right?
Okay.
Yes, but I really I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy meeting people. And the thing is that it's a flexible job.
Okay.
It's not like your typical mortgage company or some lenders who only work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I usually take breaks when I know there's nothing going on. I can take and sneak out and go for a jog.
Yeah.
Because that pretty much decompresses me and relaxes me and bring me back to where I can refocus.
Yeah.
So it's flexible. So it's not, I have to clock in and clock out.
Gotcha.
My goals are set for me. I set my own goals.
Got it.
Right.
Do you have any family that's in the industry, or do you have any family that kind of influenced you to go into the industry, or not really?
Oh, that's funny you ask, because I'm the youngest of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And all of them are in the medical field or engineering field. I was the only one that went into business.
Wow.
Yes.
That's impressive.
So that's why they're like, you're always on your phone. But, now they understand why, because that's part of my livelihood.
Yeah, you have to make sure you keep up with it. And I think the quicker that you can get to someone, the more you stand out, right?
Yep.
If you take forever to get back to someone, it's kind of like, okay, they're not interested. And I think one of the biggest things that I've had to work on personally is being able to read something and respond to it, and not read it, respond here, and then come back to it in text. Because that I guess that's been something that I've continuously been working on, and I have got better at it, but I feel like from all the messages that I get, sometimes it'll stay up here. I've read it, I've acknowledged it, I know what I'm gonna say, and then it doesn't come out, through text. And then I'll respond the day after, 2 days after. I'm like, oh my god, like completely forgot. And then it just looks like I don't care, which I do care. Like I love everyone that I do business with, especially all of our clients. Like I make sure that they get what they need. But that is something that I continuously work on, just being able to respond right there and then as fast as I can. And then obviously if I'm taking a personal day to just kind of reflect, re-energize, then I make sure that person knows, because transparency is key. Not lying to people about what you're doing and why you couldn't get back to them, and then they figure out actually, oh, you know what, he was lying to us, and then you can lose a relationship that way. With your personal life, what are some of your favorite hobbies too? Because I know that you're an early bird gets the worm type of person. So what are some of your favorite hobbies?
What do I like to do? I love sports. I just enjoy sports. Grew up playing sports, around sports, because I had 5 brothers, and that's one of the things. And just enjoying like running, clearing my mind, running, walking, exercising. And I really, really enjoy eating. I mean, people call me a foodie, but I really enjoy eating, because eating is one of the things that I feel brings people together. You can sit down, eat, have a glass of wine, share a bottle of wine.
Correct.
And then that's when you can really connect with people. Because
Definitely.
that's one of the things that I don't look at eating as just eating. It's a time spent that's making memories.
Definitely.
And it kind of fits with my role really well, because I eat out a lot with a lot of clients. So
That's awesome to hear. And I hear you bring up the 5 brothers. Do you have any sisters?
I have 5.
You have 5 sisters?
Yeah.
So pretty big family. How was that influence as at your younger self? How did your brothers and your sisters influence you and what you did, and how you carry yourself?
Well, our history is kind of interesting, because we came to America during the Vietnam War. So when we came over here, we had nothing. So for me, seeing my parents and my siblings did everything they could just to survive, kind of put that train and kind of that thought in my mind that this is what they did, this is what they always wanted to do, this is what I'm used to seeing. So failure is not part of our life.
It's not an option.
Nope, not an option at all. So basically, never give up, never quit. We came from riches, went to rags, and then now everybody's successful. Everybody is living a very comfortable life.
That's awesome to hear.
So thank you. And that's why it's important for me to see and try to, show other people, hey, just because you can't buy that house now doesn't mean you can't buy a house forever.
Yeah, keeping that thought in their
Yes.
head, that it's not impossible.
Right. So if I can't help you right now, this is what I suggest you to do so you can buy a house. So quitting is not an option. So that's just how I learned from seeing my siblings and my parents do it.
And your parents, because obviously you go back to your roots, and I think for everyone, I always like to bring it up. It's just parents do have a big influence in who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. How was that? How were those influences for you, your mom and your dad?
So my dad got sick once we came to the States quite early. So my mom kind of took over everything. My parents are no longer with us. But my mom, if she's been through the North and South Vietnam War, the Vietnam War, and she's went through hurricanes, she's been through everything, a freeze. So, so it's pretty much seeing her always finding a way to survive and make sure that she sets a good example for us was extremely important.
That's great.
I mean, one of the biggest thing that I'm super proud, I still have a picture of her at home in the kitchen, is she actually said, I'm going to graduate college. So she went, learned English at the age of, she was probably in her late 50s.
Wow.
Yes, and learned English and got her 2-year associate degree.
That's insane.
It was so cute seeing her picture, in her little cap and gown. But, things like that just kind of motivates you.
That's super motivational.
Yes, so for me to say, oh, I'm going to give up and not succeed, I mean, that's not even like a thought.
Yeah. And we all have bad days. We all have bad weeks, just where things just feel like they're crashing on you. How does your brain go about, because you're saying that you're resilient and that you can overcome everything, which is the mentality that everyone should have. What's the biggest takeaway, and what can you give out to the people on like a bad day or a bad week, and why they should be able to overcome that?
So no one's perfect. We can't make all the right decisions. I made some decisions in my life that I wish I could take back. But instead of thinking it like that, I think about it as, hey, what did I learn from it? It's a lesson learned, right? So every single time when you're doing something and the outcome is not what you expected to see, don't give up on it. Look at another option on getting the outcome that you want.
Yeah, for sure.
So if plan A doesn't work, go to plan B. Plan B doesn't work, go to plan C. And finally, sometimes you have to call Lifeline, What is that show where you have to, what is that TV show that you have to hey, can I call Lifeline?
Do you guys know?
It's like a phone a friend or something.
Yeah, phone a friend. There you go. It was something
this guy
like that.
always remembers.
Yes.
He's like, I tell him that he's 21, but he has the mind of a 50-year-old. He remembers all these things. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's true. Sometimes when you finally say, hey, I went through my options, I need a new insight. Call somebody that you feel that will be able to help you and give you true opinions without having intentions.
Yeah, and with that being said, having a plan A, B, and C, I think that's super important because when plan A fails, if you don't have anything behind that, you become miserable with nothing to your name, nothing to your hands. And so I always try to continuously dip my hands into markets and influence people to say, hey, don't be afraid to try. Construction, I learned it in 8 months, but it took hours and hours and hours. You've seen the cot. It's just sitting there because that goes to show that when it's a late night, sometimes your body's dragging. The whole you keeping up with your quality lifestyle. What are some of the biggest influences for you? Because everyone has people that they've looked up to or people that have in some way, some shape influenced them. So do you have kind of those mentors, or is it just your atmosphere that you're surrounded by?
It's a little bit of everything. So I do have a few people that I go to, but I prefer not to say their names.
No, you don't have to say
names. Only because some of them don't want to be known.
Yeah, no, definitely. You don't have to put them out there.
And then my family.
Okay.
My family's always there. Anytime I need something, I can always get a hold of somebody.
Okay.
And then, of course, I got my husband.
Yep.
He's always motivating me. He is an anti-social media person.
Yeah.
So you don't see him very often, but if you scroll through enough of my social media, he pops up every now and then.
Okay.
But, he does things behind the scenes,
That's
right?
great.
He's being supportive behind the scenes. He tells me things that, we just don't really air everything out.
Yeah.
But that's what it's supposed to be.
For sure. And I'm glad to hear that you have those people that you look up to and that push you day to day, because at the end of the day, teamwork makes the dream work, right? Mm-hmm. Having a team that backs you. And then on the flip side of you influencing people, how important is that to you?
I love it. I see it. My nieces always reach out to me. I have a lot of nieces and nephew, and then a lot of grandniece and grandnephew. So there's a lot going on in our family. So whenever I get the opportunity to give advice, I give it. And even with new agents, a lot of new real estate agents would ask me for advice, and I'll be happy to give it to them. I would tell them, my advice may not fit what you're trying to do, but at least think about it.
Yeah.
And put your own spin into it, and then make it yours.
For sure. Because it can be a general statement, and that it could fit into a different industry. Because right now we were just talking about the construction industry, and you're already trying to refer us into a different group that could potentially align us. And so I think that's the great thing about you, is that you're always finding ways to connect even other people into one group. And speaking about putting people into a group chat, we talked about media and how important it is nowadays. So I'm a firm believer that you have to find ways to get into these social media group chats, not even in just your industry, but for example, right, I want to be in kind of like the realtor space, because you have to know when, where, how, the types of loans. So being a part of that group, and then being a part of the construction group, and then being a part of a restaurant group. I recently dove into a second group for restaurant owners and business owners. And so I think that for anyone watching this, just make sure that you're looking for consistent ways to get into these group chats online. Ask people, hey, are you a part of any group? Because I'm sure that successful people are never going to deny you the opportunity to learn from them. And I think that's what great leaders do. They allow people to learn from them and not hide their knowledge, because I'm sure you ran into people that are kind of more reserved, where they don't want to give anything out. But then you have someone like you who's willing to answer any and every question basically. So that's great to hear there. Do you travel?
I am not a big flyer, so if I do anything, it's more road trip nowadays.
Okay.
I used to fly a lot and then had one bad experience and I could never do it again. I get on a plane and I just, as soon as the door shuts, I start sweating and I'm just sitting there breathing heavily. Everyone's looking at me like, is she okay? So once in a while I do, but if I do fly, it's normally, we probably go once or twice a year somewhere. But we don't really post it, so no
Yeah.
one knows. But it's usually like a trip somewhere. It's like a 2, maybe
Okay.
3 hour max.
If you don't mind talking about it, what was your bad experience?
It was flying on this little plane out to Palm Springs, California.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I needed to go to the ladies' room.
Yeah.
So walking and the plane drops and I literally fall.
Wow.
I literally fall and I look back and she's like, please take your seat. I'm like, there is no seat to take.
She didn't care about you falling. She just get back to your
she
seat.
just goes, everyone, please take your seat. We're going through some turbulence. I'm like, well, obviously, right? So I stand up. So I'm like, I need to go to the restroom. What do I do? And she's like, go. And I'm walking, and the plane drops again. So that was the quickest restroom trip I've ever had. And then by the time getting back, the plane drops again, and then I land on somebody's lap.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it was my coworker. So
That's hilarious. And also, I know you're a big Cougar fan.
I am.
U of H. You graduated from there, correct?
I did.
So what was your experience like that, going to the University of Houston? And obviously, anyone that graduates from there pretty much, lives and dies red,
Yes.
a Cougar. So what was your experience like that there?
My experience there, I was really working, so I wasn't there that much.
Okay.
But going back now, I guess it was like last year to watch a game. And I tell you what, it has changed dramatically. I can't even recognize U of H anymore. Well, back in the 90s, it was so different, right, versus now. And I think it's great with all the advancement, all the support, all the, the new stadium, the
Yeah.
new Fertitta Center.
For sure.
Yes. Those are always nice. The new entrance is great. I mean, U of H has come a long way. It's making rankings. It now has a medical school.
Yeah.
Has a law school, great business school.
One of the top programs,
Yes,
for sure. Yeah.
yes. So back then it was different. I had to park across the street from Bauer College. I had to walk across the street, and it was not safe at that time.
Oh, wow. I would assume in the area that it's in.
Yeah, so now, it's great for y'all.
Yeah, no, it is.
My niece has graduated from there, and I have my grandniece is starting there.
Wow, congratulations to her.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
see?
a great school for sure. Similar to me, I didn't really go there in person that much, but it is a really competitive program and it's a strong program. And speaking on that, how important do you think that education could be for anyone that's kind of on the borderline of, do I go to college or do I not go to college? Like, what's your opinion on that?
That's a tough question because, nowadays a lot of people don't view college the same. But in my opinion, if you feel that you want to show that you have accomplished something, then going college route is great. Because just like high school, once you finish high school, you get a degree, right? You get
Yep.
Most people go, it's just a piece of paper. But for me, it's showing that you have taken the steps to finish your first, I guess, test that would be
Correct.
in life. So college is going to be great for someone who wants to grow themselves and someone who may need a little bit more discipline, right? Some people nowadays, there's a lot of famous and successful people that did not go to college, right? So it's really, you can't say one way or the other, but I was raised that education was extremely important. It's always part of learning.
Correct.
Learning, education kind of go hand in hand.
And I like that you brought up the whole factor of being disciplined and kind of like your first challenge in life, because you talk about these famous people that become famous from one day to the next, and then they blow all their money from one day to the next after kind of, their fame has settled down and they're no longer that popular, and then you hear them all the time going bankrupt because they didn't take care of their money, or they just simply didn't have the discipline to manage it the right way. So I think that going to college and having education, it definitely keeps you in check and in line, because you have deadlines you have to meet, you have tests. I know something that drove me crazy all the time was the CASA Center, having to go there in person to take a test. Like, they'll scan your fingerprints in, you have to get in, you have to take your test exactly at the designated time. If you're late, you have to reschedule, and then sometimes they don't let you reschedule. So just all these things that you have to meet the criteria for definitely help shape me, because I think I become very organized on day-to-day basis because of that. And then also high school, taking AP courses, things like that. I don't know why, but I always saw it as a really big benefit. I always joke around with the people closest to me, and I say, "Oh, I took AP literature." Like when we're debating whether it's an existing word or not, I'm like, "I took AP literature," and then they're like, "That's not even a word, dude." But that was one of my favorite courses. I think I took that course with Miss Dennis. Yeah, I believe it was Miss Dennis. She was very, very rigorous with her course, and I remember I hated her. I was like, "That's the worst person on the planet." But then after I passed the class, I remember going back and like just being thankful for that course and that teacher that held the course. This was in my senior year, and so people were like, "Why are you even taking that, dude? You already have all your credits." And I was just like, "I want to push myself. I want to see how difficult this is, and if it plays out to what people have said." So I would recommend for people that are listening in that they push themselves, even if it's not required, right? Because you never know where it can take you. Have you had any of those situations happen in your life where you do something that kind of never really paid off, like never monetarily paid you, but you learned from it?
That's funny that you brought that up, because first and foremost, your teacher has impacted you tremendously.
Correct.
So that's great, because you're even discussing remembering about. That's a huge compliment to her. But for as far as doing something, so when I started in the mortgage industry, I mentioned to you that I was on the operations side. So we were going through a company buyout. Someone was buying us out, and they had their own, internal operations team. So my job wasn't really needed. So, of course, they made me take a personality test because they were going to switch me over to production.
Yeah.
Apparently, I failed the personality test. They said she does not have the personality to be able to originate and do loans. She's too analytical. She doesn't have the people skills. That was my test. And I was just like, what? So a lot of the company that bought us out basically said, look, we don't have a position for her. So my boss back then stood up for me and said, you don't know her. You put her in front of a group of people, she's a different person. You put her behind closed doors and she's working, she's a different person. So that's when I felt like I had to make a statement and make sure that I succeed.
Yeah.
Yes. So we used to get this list that's sent to us every month, every week actually, and it'll tell you where you are on the list of originators. And I think we had about 400 originators in the company. I was always on the last sheet for the first 2 months, and I'm like, something has to change. So then I sat down, because I went through training, and decided I'm going to take a different perspective. So I started, just started cold calling. Believe it or not, just went and started asking for business. And some random person decided to give me a loan.
Wow.
That was after I harassed my family to let me do their loans first. And then after that, I said, we closed the loan. I said, hey, let's go celebrate. Let me take you to lunch. But if I take you to lunch, you mind introducing me to 2 other agents from your office? And that's how the business grew. So I watched myself going from the bottom of the page to I kept moving up. And finally, it was within, I want to say, 8 months is when I actually got to the first page.
That's awesome.
And then I slowly started going up. So it was,
You worked yourself from the bottom all the way to the top. That goes to show the resilience within you.
I think that was a song, right?
Yeah, it is. From the bottom. Yeah, that's a Drake song. We're going to have to put that in the podcast. No, I'm kidding. But that's awesome to hear. And I like how you brought up the cold calling, because I myself, so there's just so many things that, can get put out to the media. And there's so many behind the scenes that people don't ever see. But in the summertime, we kind of wanted to start up this like small business idea with my cousin and my younger brother, and mostly just for them to stay active during the summer to have their own income. And so we basically just started going door to door knocking, and we had people just flat out like, I don't want to talk to you. And so then the cool thing is that YouTube exists, and you can go on there and you can look at different strategies to take. And so we started figuring out a way to keep these people that were like really not interested to continue the conversation. And so all in all, after a summer of just cold calling and door-to-door knocking, they really came up to me and were like, hey, thank you so much for teaching us how to approach these people. Because in my opinion, if you can cold call or you can door-to-door knock, you can pretty much talk to anyone without being nervous, without being shy, because that's one of the most uncomfortable positions to be in. Was that the case for you? Like, did you feel really uncomfortable at first, or you just didn't care?
Of course I did. If I told you I didn't feel uncomfortable, I would be lying.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Cold calling is the most uncomfortable feeling ever. But then if you tell yourself the only thing that can happen is they say no.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's very
so
true.
So you look at it from a different perspective.
That's
Instead
true.
of saying, oh, I just got rejected, just say, hey, the only thing they can do is just say no to me. And trust me, that's not the first time someone said no to me, so it's okay.
The worst one for me was I knocked on this door, then the alarm it started like ringing, and so then I had someone go through the intercom and I was like, "Hey, you just woke up my baby," and they hung up, and I was just like, "Dang, I wanted to turn around and go home." I was like, "I am not doing this," but then I told my brother and my younger cousin, I was just like, "Hey," I was like, "You're gonna have some of those instances where you're gonna provoke something or someone's gonna get really upset." The worst thing that they did was just tell me like, no, like I don't want to hear it. And so I was like, okay. And we went on and continued. But yeah, people get afraid to talk to just strangers and bring up business ideas, because I'm sure that you've also talked to people that are not interested in buying a house, or they're not interested in any loans, but you can see that they have some kind of intention for it. So then you just present them with different options, and if in the future they need to talk to you, and then in the future, guess what? They actually do come back. It's important to just plant those seeds.
Yep.
And so I'm assuming that that's something that you continuously do, because you have a lot of clients that come to you.
Yes, all the time. You'll be surprised. A lot of people still say no to me now. But I just have a question. Did you leave that lady a note on the door, say, sorry, I woke your baby up?
I wanted to, but I felt
You
so bad.
should. You should have done that. You should have done that.
Maybe I'll go this weekend, and I'll drop off a note months later, just be like, hey, remember when I woke up your baby? But no, yeah, it's stuff that you don't see, behind the scenes, because I didn't know that you used to do any of the cold calling, and people think that it's just success from one day to the next, when in reality you've had to go through all these things, and that's what I want people to really understand, is that there's gonna be times where you feel like you're at the bottom of the bottom, you're dirt at the bottom. Eric knows it as well. There was a time where we kind of released it was a pie chart to see, who closed how much work on a dollar value, and we were just sitting there with $0 in the month. Like, we were not able to do anything that month, because it's in the construction industry. Christmas time, around there, it gets extremely slow. Like, no one's doing anything because it's close to the last quarter of the year. And I remember getting so mad at myself. Like, that whole day, I was just like, this is never going to happen again. Like, never going to happen again. And then, thankfully now it's just like we're crushing it, just continuously crushing it. And I want people to understand that it's okay to have, those situations where you feel like you're at the bottom of the bottom, like you're worthless, you didn't do anything, but then you have to hold yourself accountable and bounce back from that. And pushing away from that a little bit, with your personal life, have you lived in Houston your entire time here, or do you come in from out of the state?
So I actually have not lived in Houston the entire time. I actually came to the States and went straight to Kansas.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was in Kansas yes, I'm kind of like a Jayhawk fan,
I was
too.
going to say, go Jayhawks.
Like Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. And I am a huge Chiefs fan. Go Travis. I'm kidding, sorry.
I'm going to walk away right now.
I don't know. The Texans may be pretty good this year.
They will.
Yes.
But that's awesome.
Yes, I was in Kansas for 10 years before I moved to Houston, but I do call Houston home because I've been here the longest.
What was your experience like in Kansas?
It was cold.
And windy?
It was cold, windy, snow. But, it was a different life back then for us.
Yeah.
It was a very totally different life because we came over here with nothing. And so where we ended up staying was the church sponsored us and put us in like a little underprivileged area of town. So, of course, it was hard. It was hard. It was challenging, but,
Do you have like family and friends back there?
I
know
do.
you spoke to me recently. You said you were over there visiting some family, right?
I still have a sister
Okay.
in Kansas, in Overland Park, Kansas, and I still have
Nice.
a brother. He went to Wichita.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's he's retired, so we're trying to get him to move down here and to hang out with us.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
does he say to that?
He wants to, but he said the house that he wants is not within his budget.
Oh.
I did pre-qualify him.
So you're like, oh, I have some homework to do there. I was
Yes.
like, yeah.
Yeah, but he definitely wants to be down here because family's down here.
Okay.
But, Kansas, different area, different pricing, different, you get different things.
Yeah.
So what his house is worth in Kansas, he brought that house down here, it'll be worth millions.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
it's just
true.
a smaller city.
For sure.
Yeah, the metropolitan area is smaller. But it's definitely, I like Houston. I've been here for, I guess you can call me pretty much a Houstonian by now.
Yeah.
Because I've been here, a long time. I don't want to say my age, but probably close to 40 years. So,
Okay.
yeah, so it's been quite some time.
Yeah. Do
Seeing
you have
the
friends back
changes.
in Kansas or just family?
I used to keep in touch with them, and then I lost track of them because they moved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went back and tried to visit my old high school when I was graduating college here.
Yeah.
Went back to the high school, and some of the teachers aren't there, but some were.
Yeah,
I got to
that's
see
awesome.
with some high school friends.
Yeah,
but
how
it
was that
fun.
feeling?
It was so different because it was not what I remember high school to be like.
Yeah.
Because once you go to high school in Houston or, in the suburbia area here,
Yeah.
and then you go back to where you actually went to high school, it was a lot different.
Yeah.
The high school in Kansas was known for their athletic program, not their education program when I was going.
Got it. Yeah, I told you on the phone whenever we were speaking, I went to college there for 2 years, 2.5 or 2. Yeah, I think it was 2 years, and it's a whole different environment compared to Houston. It's like you said, it's cold and windy, and I was not used to that. And then you have your people that are from, they're natives from Kansas, and they're just like, dude, why do you have 2 coats on? They're like in a shirt and shorts, and I'm just like, I can't do that, man. But well, that's great that you had some experience there, and now you're basically Houstonian. What are some of your favorite spots to come to, or that you would recommend for people, or just some of your personal favorites to go out?
To eat?
Either eat, yeah.
That's
eat.
the only thing I do is go eat.
Okay.
So I like, depending on what area of town, you've got, if you go into Chinatown, of course, my favorite, the Kim Sun Buffet. That's huge. They have all-you-can-eat crawfish on Wednesdays and Fridays right now.
Guys
Just
heard
in
that?
case. That was a
We're
plug.
putting it out there.
That's a plug. Yes.
Yep.
No, they're friends of mine, great people. And as far as different restaurant, my favorite restaurant, my friends have now renamed it, is no longer called True Lux. It's called Two Lux. So that's funny. And then for that area, that's definitely my go-to.
Okay.
That's like, if anything, every time, any celebration I have, I always go there.
What do they serve? What kind of food?
Seafood.
Seafood?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a big seafood guy as well.
Yeah.
What do you normally get?
It depends on my mood. But you need to always try their sea bass. But the sea bass I get is very plain because, I'm trying to be somewhat healthy.
Yeah.
But usually their stone crab is real good.
Okay.
And they have awesome dessert. The carrot cake is to die for.
Dang.
The carrot cake is it's nothing normal carrot cake, I promise you.
And they're not paying her to say this.
No, they're not.
This is just flat out her saying it. So
I think I ate carrot cake once a week for the last 5 weeks now.
wow. We're gonna have to go out and try that.
You need to go. I'll take you.
Okay, we're gonna have to go
Yeah.
try that.
So that's good. And then you got your River Oaks district. You got Bari, you got Toulouse, you got La Colonial. All those areas are good. And then you got your hole-in-the-wall places. There's a good Cajun restaurant. It's called South by Saigon that I really like eating at.
Okay.
His Mexican food, I haven't really found one that is my go-to yet. But I heard you have a restaurant that you can refer me to.
So we're gonna have to go and try that as well.
Okay.
I like to ask that question because when people come in from out of town or out of the state, that's the first thing they're gonna ask. Like, hey, where should we go? What should we try? And it's easy to get lost in a big city. Like try different spots. My older brother, he's really good with figuring out like good spots in every city that we've gone to or anytime we travel. He'll do his research and figure out based on what people have talked about. And so I think it's important that when people come into Houston, they have some options. So we'll definitely air those out and put them out there for people that are, tuning in, so that when they do come in town, they have some options to look into. But yeah, no, we're definitely gonna have to go out there. We're gonna have to go to the restaurant so you can try some Mexican food. And then apart from that, we just want to thank you for being able to come on here, speak your mind, and have all the viewers that are watching us just listen in, try to gain something from it. I definitely do think that you're very positive with what you say. So whoever's watching this, or they will get motivated from what they're hearing. And if you can leave off with some piece of advice for just anyone that's not just in the industry of real estate, or looking to buy, or looking to purchase, or looking to take in a loan, just overall in general, what piece of life advice could you give out to those people that are watching?
Well, before I give that piece of advice, I just need you to understand that mortgage was not what I was planning on doing. It
Yeah.
just happened to go that way. But definitely, it wasn't my passion, but I made it my passion because of the fact that I see how many people I've helped.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something that you're not really sure how it fits in your life, but somehow it kind of draw you, kind of pull you in, take a different perspective and look at it differently. And if it's something that matches with you, with your aligned with your belief, then don't give up.
Yeah. Okay. That's true, because if you're impacting someone bigger than yourself, then you're definitely doing the right thing. But I do like how you take a different approach to it and look at the brighter side rather than just the negative connotative meaning to it, because that can have a drag. But you guys heard it. We'll definitely make sure that piece of advice right there goes a long way, and it's put out for you guys to be able to take it in. Two is she's awesome. She's always going to be there. So if you do need to reach out to her, just know that she'll take care of you. You'll be in good hands. And we thank you for putting some time out of your Saturday to come out here. We do appreciate it. If you can put the mug to the camera real quick. What does it say?
It says turning loans into homes. Don't forget, Thu Phi with GFS Home Loans.
Yes. Thank you so much, too.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.